Hey, Gene Hamzan. You don't have to speak. In fact, you probably can't even speak. Karen, we can enable Gene while we're just chilling here. Just in case. Gene, only if you wish to speak. You're not being summoned.
I feel summoned. Uh, Good evening,
Oh,
everybody. Nice to see your pretty face, Miguel.
well, it's nice to see your pretty name on a box.
I like it like that.
All right, Mr. Holden, we're not done grilling you yet. Yeah, the check-in, do. Um, But just to make sure our record keeping is okay, is the list of committee members that's on our website still accurate?
Yeah, still accurate. Everyone's been participating. We've had people miss meetings here or there, but nobody has consistently missed meetings. So I haven't had to have a talking to with anyone.
Wait, is
Well,
Diane on showing up to meetings?
Yes. Well, maybe not the most recent one, but she has been coming to meetings.
Okay. I haven't been able to get in touch with her about. She's also on the community engagement,
Uh,
nominally on the community engagement committee. So I didn't know if what happened.
yeah, she wasn't. I believe she was at the most recent one, but was at the one before that, I think. So.
Cool. And Christian, your committee roster looks okay.
Yes, I was just looking at it. There's two people who I haven't seen in a while. Um,
You don't
but
have to tell us. You don't have to name them publicly.
yeah, I won't publicly shame them. Mostly because I want them to return, so um I haven't checked in with people either, so I still have to do that. But I did just notice on the ZPD page it lists me as vice chair performing duties as chair.
Oh,
The roster,
I will
which is
fix it
I
as
think
we speak.
yeah. I mean, our meeting minutes had me as the vice chair for several meetings after that was no longer the case. So I just didn't notice.
I disclaim all responsibility.
Yeah. But yes, I think it's same boat as Commissioner Holden. People have been most people have missed one meeting, but they've come to everything else. So
Cool. I'm happy. And you have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. 10. No, I hit the magic number. In fact, Karen, you can just take him out of that list altogether since he's at the top.
I was muted. There's like 8 actively participating people.
Okay.
So
So maybe we'll consider you among the circuit committees for a little bit of light recruitment for Rice's list. Although Rice, I think
I
we're definitely
did
focusing
happen to
on.
learn, actually. I think that he would probably um his stomach would turn at this opportunity. But the one of my colleagues who is our he's the division chief in Alexandria for land use services, which is the division that writes the zoning code. He lives in our ANC. And so do two of my coworkers who are on my team. And I have pressured them professionally and not professionally to participate, but they have not said they have not.
Give us some examples of the unprofessional ways of pressuring people.
Running into them on the street saying, "Why aren't you participating?" And then also going up to their desk in our office and saying, "Why aren't you participating?"
Well, listen, I mean, I know it's like just an unpaid extension of their day jobs,
Right. Well,
but I mean, the expertise would be absolutely fantastic to have.
yeah.
Especially, I
I'm
mean,
sure.
isn't like the comp plan a big juicy prize for zoning nerds? Like, come on.
You'd think I think Tony, the division chief, is probably not he's probably zoned out from all of the stuff going on in Alexandria. So but the other two don't have an excuse as far as I'm concerned, because they don't work on zoning, they do long range planning.
Maybe make the cat behind you vice chair. He looks pretty happy.
Yeah. He has the zoomies at the moment.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Okay. Two commissioners inbound. Hello there.
Sorry, I totally lost track of time. Was working.
Working. What is that?
I know. Sucks.
We have a quorum, but we will wait 1 second for Commissioner Fay because I can't read the list of names at the top of the agenda without him.
Is Hanaran on yet?
No, he's just getting off a train, so he's
Yeah,
coming in a few
no.
minutes.
I spoke to him about 30 minutes ago. He said he was running a
Yeah.
couple minutes behind.
Cool. Thank you. Yay, Commissioner Fay. All right. I call the meeting to order at 6:18, which displeases me, for the record. Please note that in the minutes. Let's try not to do this.
That's my bad.
Secretary, will you please call the roll?
I will. Commissioner Barrio.
Out of country.
All right. Commissioner Fay is here. Commissioner Sycamore. Okay. Commissioner not here. Commissioner Kensick.
Present, sorry.
Fantastic. Commissioner Trindade Duramo.
Yep.
Commissioner Holden.
Here.
Commissioner Harris.
Present.
Commissioner Lemon Strauss. Not present. Commissioner Hanrahan. Delayed on a train. And then committee chair, Brandt.
Here.
Okay. I think that's everybody.
Okie doke. Thank you. My grand dream was to announce that we did not need the 90 minutes we reserved for this extra long meeting, but I think now we're going to need the 90 minutes we reserved for this extra long meeting. All right. Let's dive in. The budget we will come back to when we have the treasurer on the line. Midterm check-ins with committee members. I already gave a professional and unprofessional tongue lashing to Christian Brandt and Matthew Holden. Matt Fay also. Just a reminder, Karen sent some suggestions for how to go about checking with your committee members, making sure they feel empowered and useful. I am happy to report that something we talked about in Cal a little while ago with regard to ABCR committee is being implemented, which is that Stephen is starting to assign licenses to committee members to sort of be the case managers, which I think is super smart. Maybe something that's applicable also in ZPD, up to you since it's kind of an application-based thing. But to each your own, but I think it's a great way of empowering them a bit and letting them build some expertise and feel some ownership over the stuff that's going on. So it's not just like they dial in, they fall asleep on Zoom for 2 hours once a month and whatever. So please consider doing something active like that with your committee members, make them feel, and in fact, be useful contributors to the committee stuff going on. So the only other thing was, Matt, we did double check with Christian and Matthew that the committee rosters were still accurate on the website. Double check yours. I think yours is still pretty
Mine
good.
is up to
Okay.
date.
So Raisa and I will talk next week about targets for committee recruitment, ABCR and public safety, certainly at the top of that list. If you feel your committees could use a couple more participants, let me know. We'll include them in our outreach. That being done, this is the worst time. Let's talk about scheduling the next hybrid meeting of the commission. How do we feel about the September meeting, which is the 4th? It's on the heels of a holiday weekend, so I kind of wanted to see what the people thought about doing a hybrid meeting that day. Alan, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, this isn't about the hybrid meeting, but I do think that
Yeah.
we should reevaluate the dates and times for some of these committees. Like for Chair Brandt, he shouldn't have to have something ready in less than 24 hours of this Cal meeting, I think, or even of the actual weekly meeting or monthly meeting, whatever it is. It's too soon. Monday and then 2 days later. I mean, you get off the call at 10 o'clock. I think most people, I mean, if you're someone where you have it in the beginning of the month, no big deal. It's after the meeting. Someone at the end of the month, it's not really fair to them. So I would say like the week prior, not the week of. So we might have to change that Monday date. I think it would be only fair to people that are running it and also people trying to participate in it as well.
You're talking about moving, sorry, which part?
Is
Which means,
ZPD saying like next year? I know we're talking, we're only not now August, we have a couple more months left, but I think that the person could do a lot better if they don't have stuff that's due in less than 24 hours for the expectations you were having us meet.
oh, Christian, do you have things due in 24 hours generally or ever?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, this week there have been weeks where the COW was the same week as the ZPD meeting. Um, but this month, or I guess what I mean is there have been some months where that's been the case, but this month the ZPD meeting was last week. I don't know. I don't personally think that this is. I can ask the committee members what they think if they would rather have it be earlier. I just know that for me, and for me at least, I've worked this into my monthly schedule. And so I don't know if I really want to move it because I've accommodated some other stuff.
I'm
Yeah,
not saying move it now. I'm not saying move it now. I'm
Yeah.
saying let's look to an opportunity. So next term, if I decide to get it again, which I will, and I'll then at that point make sure it's on a different date because it's too much. It is maybe because the holiday recently might have fallen off a different day, and that's why Christian, you're only saying a couple. But I know Patrick, if he was on the phone or if he could speak right now, who was alongside with me, kept saying the same stuff I'm saying right now. It was absolutely ridiculous trying to turn around Chair Brand within a day, then getting the information of speakers for the following month of who's confirmed when you don't have anyone confirmed. And I'm not going to just put out BS to the community saying, oh, by the way, we might have this one, we might have that one. No, it doesn't work like that. We're going to have this one, we're going to have that one. The person needs at least a week to get that in order. They can't just be saying like false, oh, DOB is going to be here. Every time you try to have anyone come to of importance, you want to let the community know, and you want to let them know it's right. It's not a guessing game. So I'm asking that next term, we plan on make sure that if it's going to be a cow meeting or a weekly, monthly meeting, that the same week, we're not asking for paperwork from the person to submit it on a Tuesday, a day after a meeting when it's due on a Wednesday by 12 o'clock noon. It just doesn't make sense. It's illogical. That's it I'm saying.
okay. There were 2 months at the beginning of this year when ZPD and cow fell in the same week. It hasn't happened since, and it won't happen again for the rest of this calendar year. So I think we're okay. Next item, the hybrid meeting in September. This is really just a personal call. If people are planning to be away for that full week because it's Labor Day, we can avoid doing the hybrid meeting then. Matt, we're kind of interested in doing a hybrid meeting because you want to test the equipment as soon as possible, I'm pretty sure, or it could be.
I can go either way. Yeah, I mean, either way
Okay.
is fine.
Okay, well, everyone here gets to decide. Should we do a hybrid meeting? We have to do one more. I would like to do at least one more this calendar year still. So it could be September 4th or October 9th. Just
You
yeah.
have to do the ninth.
September. I would prefer,
October would be realistic.
I'd prefer September.
Yeah,
Will anyone be? Yeah, go ahead.
I think September is better. I think I'm gonna be out of town sometime in October, but at the moment I forget which week it is.
Well, I mean, if we look at the last 4 holidays that are left, November's not going to be good. That'll be probably close to the third week or fourth week, whatever. Our first week, sorry. Actually, November might work because we have Christmas and we have everyone every month besides October is a holiday. Most people don't come back into the city. That's why all these restaurants are dead and begging for people to come in DC or Manhattan because most families are out until Labor Day. So I don't know. I don't think if the meeting falls on a Labor Day, people are going to be quick to jump on the call.
Yeah, that's a valid concern. Okay, so maybe Commissioner Holden, you might be away October. So we'll try to
Trying to,
do either September or November, or possibly both, just for fun. And Matt, I can leave that final determination to you if that's okay.
I'm sorry. Am I the tiebreaker here?
No, it's not a tie. I mean, you and I can sort it out, and also the
Okay.
equipment testing is important. So
Yep.
September, November, both possible candidates. October, prefer not.
Okay, that sounds good.
Cool. Thanks, team. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the late night operations on U Street. Matt, do you want to you want to guide this one a little bit? I mean, we raised this
Yeah.
issue a little bit at the last commission meeting. I think it came up in last month's cow as well. I think we're going to have a little bit of an ongoing conversation about it, which I think is important, so that we can talk with constituents and business owners and everyone involved, and maybe our ideals will evolve a little bit. And Sable, interested to hear from you here too. And unfortunately, Francois is out of the country, so we can't hear from him right now. But there is a call. Sable, by the way, we need your RSVP if possible for a call with Carrie tomorrow at 6 p.m., which is to talk about Chicha, which will be the first time we're considering a license. That's true, right? That is trying to go until late.
It is.
Yeah,
Extend
well,
until 6 a.m.
it's
Right.
yeah, still in my SMD. And thank you, Matt, for covering that. I was on the call, but it took 30 minutes for them to even fix
Yep.
the thing. But yeah, I can totally be there tomorrow at 6 p.m. That would be helpful to have with Carrie. I'm not super concerned because it seems like there's also a lot of community support. So typically I think sometimes with the license, if it's just the ANC, it's a little harder to talk with the board. So I think this even goes with the late night hours for all of U Street. I think it's, yes, we absolutely want to engage with the business owners. We also probably should get a very clear view of the hours, like from ABCA, from all of the establishments. And then we should also really talk with the community members, because I think, yes, I think some would have issues with it, but others like might not even care that much. But yeah, I can be there tomorrow.
Yeah. That sounds good. And just a little bit of background for the rest of the group who's not been on the call. There are 2 other group of 5 protestants on this. And then there had been a fair amount of email exchange, I think, across the community about concerns. It kind of brought us to a question to ABCA about different investigations that they had ongoing. And we're tracking it down. But right now it looks like there is a repeated investigations into unauthorized after hours operations, which is essentially where we're going with their request to extend operations until 6 a.m. So I think the call tomorrow will be helpful in terms of framing things up. And I agree with Sable. There's a lot of community, I guess, support for the protest / opposition to all night operations.
I guess the question it raises, which we've talked about explicitly before, is, do we consider taking a sort of a blanket approach? Not that we would just, don't want to suggest we're going to protest everything just sort of unthinkingly, but do we take a case by case approach to this? Like, all right, somebody could convince us that they're going to be a good operator between 3 and 6, or is it that the public safety concerns, and other concerns sort of outweigh even a strong application for late hours?
I think it's case by case because, Gene is on, and I believe we were, and I still feel totally fine about this with Lincoln Theater having kind of longer hours. But yeah, I think it's case by case. I think it's the need. I think it's also looking at, okay, like what is this, like what is the establishment? Like, is it a club? I think it also depends on where it is, because like I think some parts of U Street, I think it's totally fine because there's no like residential like thing super close by. Or looking at like, let's say like on 14th Street, if like one of the establishments over there, specifically in my SMD, where we're looking at between like U and S Street, there's not directly like behind it, aren't always like directly, there's not residential. So I think it is wise to look at it case by case. I think it's looking at the type of establishment, the endorsements that they have. Are they a club? What are they kind of seeking? And then going from there, I think it's probably wise, if they are seeking an extension of hours, to one, they should be going to the ABCA committee and like understanding, like why they're seeking these hours. And then, we look at it as like a commission. But yeah, I think unfortunately, I don't think there's a clear formula on this, but I'd be very curious because what was it? Chicha noted that they had like Amsterdam and a couple of other establishments had extended hours, but I don't think that's the case. So I'd really be curious from hearing from ABCA of, okay, well, who are the places that have extended hours in ANC 1B? Yeah, just to
I
get
mean,
a sense of that.
do we think there may be some already? And how would we not know about them already?
Chicha said Amsterdam, but I'm fairly positive that is not the case because they're in my SMD and I don't think that's the case. I think they mentioned Pure, but that's definitely not the case.
I mean, for what it's worth, on Google Maps, Amsterdam says it closes at 3.
I think I would just be curious of what their license says. So Google, like, yes,
Yeah.
they close at 3, but their license might say 6. But I really don't think that that's the case. Like, I also am wondering, I'm like, what are y'all gonna do until 6 a.m.? A lot of these bars, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm old and jaded. I won't stay out until
That
6.
can't be it. I mean, so we had a call with Commander Connors and brought up this topic, and sort of predictably, I guess he said that the MPD, of course, would prefer that people go home at 3 o'clock. Like it's just that's already several hours of work for them. But that's from their perspective. He did say there is a spike in disorderliness and criminality around 4 a.m., right? When people are just milling around on the street, they don't want to go home yet. There's nowhere they can go indoors. So, fights break out and stuff like that happens. I mean, I guess if the bars close at 6, then that might be happening at 7. And, I don't know that that really matters very much in that sense. One other thing he did raise, though, was their feeling that ABCA just doesn't have enough investigators. To work, that shift and cover that time and make sure no one's violating the terms of their license and such. So, if we are going to proceed in this way, maybe it's a good idea for us to do a little bit of advocacy. I mean, we just missed a budget cycle, unfortunately, but to try to get ABCA some more resources.
Yeah.
Matt.
Really quickly, so Amsterdam's placard notice from 22 does state that they have 24-hour operations. They are coming up for a license renewal on 9/30 of 25. So that may be something that we maybe revisit with them. I will say that I prefer to have and I'm of course like always happy to discuss. I prefer having a standard where we say, as a standard, right, we're going to set the bar at X, and then we're going to evaluate for exceptions. I think Commissioner Harris was saying that the standard would be we would agree to all kind of 24 hours, and then by exception we would limit them. I'd propose doing the opposite, which is that we would default to 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and that in rare occasions we might approve a late night. But I would kind of.
Wait, just to clear, no, I did not mean that by approve. I think I meant what you were saying.
Oh, okay.
We just need to, I think it's case by case, like we have to review it case
Yeah.
by case. Because for example, again, Jean is on, who was representing Lincoln Theater.
Jean, yeah, and then Jean doesn't have patrons going until 6 a.m., so she's got operations.
No, I know that, but their hours they have on their placard, it's like close, it's very, very close to 24 hours operation. And we discussed it at the ABCR meeting months ago. But I'm saying is that's where it's like, okay, if their placard came through, then it's like, oh, okay, we know Lincoln Theater, we know like their operation, we know that like they're not like a club, like it's not that type of venue. So that's what I meant by case by case.
But that doesn't suggest that we would never approve any club.
Yeah,
Right.
no, I'm not suggesting that, y'all. I'm just saying
there can be a strong plan and a location that's
we probably
unlikely to
can't-
bother neighbors and whatever.
Yeah, it's not wise for us to do a blanket. I think maybe we would consider it if we got like 50 licenses in one go that were all like, hey, 6 a.m. But I think at that point we'd probably still protest. But regardless, Matt, I think we're saying the same thing. Sorry.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good.
Any thought about community engagement on this point? Do we think we need to be deliberate about soliciting general perspectives from the community about this, or we'll just again go case by case and then engage neighbors when there's a license coming up, as opposed to like trying to come up with some sort of general policy.
I mean, I think it's worth getting some. How about this? I mean, I think we've got kind of this bigger conversation coming up around the Comp Plan 2050, and that's going to start getting at some of the questions of like what keeps you on U Street and what would cause you to leave U Street. And I think that's probably a worthwhile kind of topic to ask. I might say that 10 years ago, people would say what's going to have me leave U Street is the lack of available grocery stores. And now we've got Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. So that's a massive improvement. And so I think asking those types of questions and planning appropriately makes sense. I think this could and should be one of those questions, just soliciting the community. Because I think we do kind of try to strike a balance. I think all the businesses are trying to strike a balance, the good actors, between having a vibrant economic and entertainment district alongside of a very robust residential district.
Sure. Okay, sounds good. We'll carry the discussion in the carry meeting tomorrow. Sable's in. We're waiting to hear from Steven still, right?
Yes.
And he's just about to enter the chat, so we'll pin him down on it too. Welcome, Aaron, by the way. Nice to see you.
Sorry guys, totally slipped on my calendar.
Everybody can. Everybody
We're
can.
putting you on the spot right away,
Everybody
Aaron, by the
can.
way. Let's go back to, oh, step away from the loudspeaker. Aaron, if you can, let's talk about the budget for a sec. Give me a second on that. We chatted about this a couple of days ago with Aaron, and obviously it is time for us to do our ANC's budget for the year ahead. So I think the schedule will be that we'll aim to adopt a budget at the September commission meeting. We can also approve it in October, but it'd be lovely if we exceed expectations and aim to approve it in September, which means we'll devote some time at the August COW to considering any budget proposals that any of you may have. So think about it. Aaron, if you can circulate at your nearest convenience the current fiscal year's budget that we're operating on right now, just so everyone can have.
I'll circulate two things. So one is the current fiscal year budget that we're operating now,
Yep.
including both the budget and the actuals. So there's a couple of lines where we are, obviously things have worked out where we're a little ahead on something full time than others. So I'll circulate the budget and the actuals. And then I'll circulate a draft FY26, which is not meant to draft, maybe is a bad word. I'll search a sort of starting point FY26 budget that sort of seeks to, rationalize our 25 budget with our actuals. It's not an attempt to sort of put a finger on any one particular scale. So to Miguel's point, people should weigh in on, hey, I think we should spend more on X or less on Y. That's a debate for us all to have. But I'll do a version of the FY26 budget that sort of gives us a starting place. And so I'll circulate those all either tonight or tomorrow. As a sort of preview point, just sort of worth making sure everyone understands that our budget in FY25, and I think unless we do something radically different in FY26, will be a budget that is at a net deficit, which is reflective of the fact that we have such a high cash balance. And so I think it, to some extent, would be strange to run a balanced budget in the place we find ourselves, because the only point of having this high net cash balance is to spend it, and the cash balance is at such a height that I just think doesn't make any sense. It's well beyond a rainy day fund. So I think running a deficit is appropriate. I think there is a very reasonable debate about what level of deficit is appropriate, where are we spending that we might sort of be incurring expectations or practices that are not sustainable in the out years. I think there's a sort of good, vigorous conversation to have there. But just so everyone's aware, I guess probably everyone's seen the FY25 budget anyway, but everyone's aware that we did in FY25 run a deficit, and we will almost certainly in FY26. And again, that's reflective of the size of our cash balance.
Right. Probably not a large deficit though, right? I mean, once we look at the actual spend, because things like the comms budget, we vastly underspent on, et cetera, et cetera. But you think even when we look at actual expenditures, it'll still be a deficit?
I think when we look at actual expenditures, it'll be a deficit. Our current spend rate on our two consultants, for instance, itself takes us past our income from the DC government. So,
Right.
you know, this sort of choice to have two consultants, which I think is a very reasonable and supportable choice, but is itself a choice to run a deficit relative to our income. And then, of course, we do spend money on other things. So yeah. So I think so. Again, I'll send around a sort of starting place FY26 budget, and we can have a conversation, as Miguel said, from there.
Beautiful. Alan, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that we need to run a deficit because for so long, the old previous commissioners thought it was ingenious to never spend the money because they were excited we had a whole $180,000 in the bank, which that only did was make the mayor give us less money every year, which is just stupid. That's why I always say we should spend down the money. So we're going to have to go in deficit because we need Karen and the other young lady. And I hope that we do go deficit, and then the mayor's team will see and they'll start giving 1B more money like they should. We got to spend the money if we're going to get the money.
Yep. Go ahead, Matt.
I just want to reiterate a point that I made at Exec, which is I am wholeheartedly in favor of spending down, responsibly spending down our balance.
Sure.
The thought that I have is that I would like to, not every commission has that opportunity. I'd like to make sure that we take that opportunity to invest in things that we think are going to make a difference for the commission and for the community. And so as we think about kind of making these types of investments and making these types of expenditures, I'd love for us to be able to think about like what impact is this going to have over the next 3 to 5 years, so that we're, you know, putting that money into really positive impact.
Yep, I'm very happy with that. I think we're all pretty much on the same page there. I think we had a pretty good year. We sponsored one relatively large event for, especially for an ANC, right? We spent $7,000 or whatever, but with very positive outcome. Was happy to do that. Was happy to be involved in that. Love having Karen and Raisa. So for me, we're doing pretty well. Always happy to find new worthwhile things to spend money on. And hopefully community engagement getting up and running a bit better, and working with Raisa can do a bit more promo on the fact that we have cash and we love to support community events. I just don't really want to plan that many myself. Like, oh god, I'm still like a little tired from Shakespeare. So if we can like write a check to somebody for a block party, that's amazing. I don't want to throw the block party myself, you guys. Okay, so thank you, Aaron, so much for offering to circulate the budgets. Remember, we'll consider it at August Cow. If you guys have suggestions about changing the values of line items, or you want to add a new line item, that's great. But it would be best, really, if people arrive at August Cow with like a somewhat detailed proposal. If you want to do something, like if you just come and say, I think the value should be 20,000 instead of 10,000, with not like any kind of broken down justification, that's going to be a little bit hard for us to get our heads around. So have a good think. Commissioner Hanrahan is here. Hello, Stephen. You may speak.
Hello. Sorry I'm late. Yeah, I just wanted to I don't know if you guys have talked about the tavern renewals, but
No, not yet.
not yet. Okay, great. Well, I have been doing lots of work on the settlement agreement retrieval front. I submitted like a pretty large like FOIA with ABKER to get some of the existing settlement agreements that are coming up for the tavern renewals. They sent a lot out to me, and then I kind of just went through and just like filtered in which ones we had and which ones we didn't have, and searched for some others. And the long story short is we have a lot of them now, or at least more of them in a saved in our OneDrive than we did before. So that's really good, I think. And I've also sent it out to the ABKER committee. And what we're going to try and do is have each member kind of like do like a little bit of homework review of the settlement agreement. I'm going to ask them if they are able to go through and do some of the investigative history, and then kind of report back, or at least have a little bit more of a history of like what the what's existing out there before we vote on the protest renewals. So just like an FYI, I guess everyone, They are coming, I think, as Director Musali said, by September 30th. So there's like 77, I think, tavern renewals we counted. 50, around like 50 or so we had settlement agreements for, like 48, and 2 of them were protesting. So we're in okay shape, but I think we just want to be like a little strategic. We don't want to like protest all of them at once, because then it's like a lot of work, or ones that we don't have settlement agreements for, like we want to try and get them underway before we go to protest, or before we even like know the renewal is coming. So there's a couple we flagged, or we're also like we'll rely on the committee's work for that. And yeah, I think that's basically it. But excited that we were able to pull a lot of the settlement agreements, and now just trying to share it with the committee members, because I think they're having a hard time getting access from the ANC OneDrive.
Okay. So is it helpful right now, Stephen? I mean, we've never done this before, really. You emailed around to everyone the spreadsheet, which has like the 70 or whatever upcoming renewals, right? For taverns.
Yes. Yeah. And unfortunately, I'm on my phone right now, so I don't have my laptop in front of me to kind of reshare that, but I emailed it around. So yeah, and I think all the commissioners should have access, but the committee members were having some difficulty pulling it up. And it's basically just like the kind of the FOIA list that Sarah has from ABCR or APCA, and it's got the information there about which taverns are there, what their names are, and you can see that. Then I also had a column that was like, do they have a settlement agreement? And I said yes, if they did. Some of them have a settlement agreement, but it's with like an old name, so like it'll be like an old name or something.
So, Stephen, is it helpful? I mean, I love to assume that everyone has done their homework in between meetings, but just in case not, is it useful if we just like all look at it really quickly together, like
Sure, that'd be
filter the
helpful.
list
Yes,
and
that'd be helpful. That'd be helpful. Yes.
like Sable, since I know you have to jump a bit early, is it helpful if we like if I just sort this sheet, if I filter it by your SMD, I mean, you can kind of take a peek through, or everyone can. I mean, I could put it on the screen. I can share it if it helps. Like if I just want everyone to have eyes on the names of the establishments that are coming up, and if anything comes to mind for you that you've heard neighbor complaints or whatever, I'd like to flag it for Stephen and the committee sooner rather than later. So obviously it doesn't come
I
to commission
mean,
and then.
yeah, I mean, I'm not too concerned. I mean, about, hopefully this doesn't sound arrogant, but yeah, I'm not too concerned. I'll take a look and I'll let you know. But yeah. That's all to say. I'm not too concerned because I think this is not my first rodeo.
Right.
It's like my third. So I'll definitely, I will absolutely look through the list and flag it. I also trust like some of the committee members who are in my SMD, like Eileen, like she has a pretty good pulse on things. So
Mhm.
yeah. I think the big concern that we should all have is Francois SMD, because he has,
Mhm.
as you can see, a lot, and I think we're all gonna have to like pitch in at different points.
Yeah, since he's not here, I mean, I know Matt, you've been involved in a lot of these too since they're across from you.
Yep.
Are there some that jump out right off the bat as regularly or have been problematic and we haven't resolved issues, or they're regularly problematic?
Yeah, I mean, so what I've done just as a process is I've taken all of the ones that are proximate to 1B01. I've emailed the neighbors who are in the general vicinity. I've asked them if there are any concerns that we need to take into account as we move forward. I have gotten a handful of responses where 2 of them are like, there are no issues, and 2 that are problematic. And I'm happy to work with Francois when he gets back in to go through others. Like, for example, All Souls, like there's no issues with All Souls. Soast is brand new. Dakota
Mhm.
has no issues. And so I think again, my preference is to reach out to folks who are proximate and to just say, are there any issues that you've got? Could you delineate them? And then that way we've got feedback from the community. And then of course, Westminster Neighborhood Association may be tracking some as well. And I
Right.
actually think that it's, so far in my experience, which I admit is brief, it tends to be pretty binary, right? There are folks that everyone says, yeah, these guys are great. And then there's other folks that people say, I've got concerns. And then Sable is much more nuanced in her knowledge, and you say, are these concerns that we need to really dig into and focus on? You do a settlement agreement, or are they things that are more of a conversation with the owner and a bit of a course correction?
Hmm. Yeah, excellent practice. Kudos to you for being proactive and emailing constituents about that. I love
I
that.
have a small list though, so it's easier.
Well, right. I guess, WNA list can sort of amplify
Yep.
when need be. Sable, I'm looking at your list and also thinking of like, what do we think about more generalized concerns? Like the trash in the alley just north of U Street seems to come up as sort of like, business owners are like grumpy that there's a lot of trash. I think maybe they have an idea of like some of their neighbors who they suspect or know are not paying for regular trash pickup. You know, I don't know. Is there like a general approach that we want to think
I
about
think
in terms
it's
of?
I think on the scale of like issues, trash is certainly a concern. Um, Alan, I'm not going to argue anymore. It's literally the allotment is determined by our population size. That's it. I'm not arguing with you about this.
Oh,
Stay,
oh, oh, don't
let's
talk
stay
to me
on.
like that. I don't
Let's
know
stay
who,
on
who
the.
you,
All right, all right, all right, all right.
Sable Harris,
Hey,
chill out.
we're on a
You,
different topic right now. You guys
yeah,
can
no,
email about
and
it later.
she could stop sending messages too, which I just wrote to you. Enough is enough. All right, please, I listen to her crap anymore.
Okay,
I
Enough
let's
with you.
focus on
apologize for
the.
the tone. I did not mean it that way. I just was a little exasperated.
Yeah,
But
so am I,
back
Sable.
onto
Same thing.
all right.
Right.
Back
That's
onto this. I think, yeah, I mean, I can coordinate that. I think though for some of these, the biggest concern is gonna be noise. And the trash is like kind of a sub of that, but I can go through, like, I already know, like right off the bat, the other big issue in my SMD is YOLO. They don't have a settlement agreement, and I've gotten like reports from their neighbors saying that there were like gunshots inside of their um restaurant. And so I know they're a really big issue. The others, I think some of them, yeah, I mean, that's a really big one. Hold on, I'm making sure the saloon. And then some of them, like the ones in safekeeping, there's nothing we can really do about that. Like Lost Society does have a settlement agreement. Um, and then Pop and Mess, that's I know they're not operating anymore, and they were located below my building.
They just
Um,
opened, right? We did their license.
they didn't even open. It was like we could talk about it offline. It was a really big issue with like the property management in my
Mm.
building. And just the property managers themselves. Like I talked with the owner at length. Um, but yeah. And then you have
Karen,
some,
can you
yeah.
at least just highlight YOLO somewhere for the committee to make special outreach to
Very
Commissioner
bottom,
Harrison when it?
all the
Yep.
way at the bottom.
Yeah, YOLO is really big. That there were like there's definitely a lot of concerns with that. Um Chicho, we're already covering. Compass is no longer
Mhm.
they're no longer around, which is sad, but we should figure out like I don't know what to do with that because like they don't have a settlement agreement. Someone I guess could buy the license.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this is a one-off. We protested Half Smoke on
Yeah.
purpose, right? Because we were concerned about performance, and we were concerned that they had not yet formally shut down at the point that the protest needed to be filed. And
Mhm.
Stephen, you can clarify, but I think what we heard from ABCA is that we protested. Half Smoke did not show for obvious reasons, and that the application was going to be denied and the license was going to be essentially closed down.
Yeah,
And
I
so I
think
don't know if
that,
that's something we should do in this case too, just to keep things clean.
yeah, I just worry because here's the thing is like Compass is a restaurant. It's a good restaurant. And my worry is that like I guess maybe I'll email Sarah about this because like basically I'm only worried that if someone moves in, changes it to a tavern, they're right next door to residents. And it's not that big that it's not going to be some huge club, but like that's I don't know how to like I'll email Sarah and figure out how we like handle that. Yeah, the rest, I mean, I'm not seeing anything that's like big outside of kind of like enforcement things that need to happen. Actually, wait, highlight. 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 That is an issue. Sorry. That is an issue that used to be Hawthorne, and I know, and Eileen is going to bring it up, Stephen, because they have been, they're not supposed to have strobe lights on the roof, and they've had strobe lights, and it's been going into different residents' homes.
Got it.
Is there let me ask you a question, and I apologize because I'm a totally a standards person, which is not always a fair way of approaching things. Is there a need slash an opportunity to take each one of these renewals and to evaluate their existing settlement agreement and to ask if it makes sense to move them, incorporate updated terms that, like for example, do we want to update a term which would be like trash? And Stephen, I think you've found or created some more concrete language around trash. And then to identify site-specific things like strobe lights, or I've started to hear more about outdoor speakers, which I can't imagine are allowed, but outdoor speakers, and to say, look, these are things that we need to incorporate into your settlement agreement. No strobe lights, right, on the outside of the building, or
I
no
think they have
speakers.
it. I think they have the no strobe lights in their agreement.
So
I
it
think,
is. So it is an enforcement thing. Okay.
yeah, I think though, I do know that they're an issue, and so I think it's bringing them to the table. They are, I don't know if it's new owners, but I think the other thing to piggyback off of that, Matt, I think what could be helpful is when was their settlement agreement kind of signed? Or the last amendment, because if it was signed 2 years ago, and if it's in my SMD, I personally, I don't know if there would be like on any like huge changes that would need to be made. But I think that's a good just review point. Like, and I think it'd be helpful for Francois because like honestly, like his list is really big that if they just updated the settlement agreement a year ago, it's like, is that worth like revisiting?
Yes, and I think in the column after that, I think I have the year included of the settlement agreement.
Oh, awesome. Sorry, I don't see it. Sorry.
Year of SA.
Oh,
Here we are.
Demon. Oh my
2015.
gosh.
But yes, to your question, Matt. This is the plan is to try and then the committee members are really wanting settlement agreements with almost everyone, and so they really want to hold the places accountable to having good settlement agreements or updated ones. For me, I'm trying to kind of like hopefully weave a line between not protesting everything. So we have 4 roll calls one morning, or actually maybe if there is 4 roll calls one morning, that's actually really easy because then it's like, okay, we're already there on the call. But
Yeah, but then that's 4 separate mediations. So it's
right.
fine with the roll call, but then you have to plan for each mediation and then status hearing.
Yeah. So I think just trying to not get overwhelmed. And I think the committee sometimes, leans or votes more towards do more.
Stephen, I think this is where you can then push it back to the commission and say it's like up to the commission to vote on, because I have to say, like, if someone's going to try to protest Solly's, like, no, like Solly's is a really well-run establishment. I know the owners, absolutely not. Same thing with Left Door. Left Door, yes, I guess their settlement agreement was 2015, but it's literally like a small bar that they don't have entertainment. They don't have any of that. It's like a speakeasy that you have to say a secret word to get in, and their capacity is like 50 people. Like, I'm not protesting that. Like, if
Wait,
they want
where
to
is
get,
this? Where's left door? Oh, it's
yeah,
not next door. Okay,
if
got
they
it.
want to, if no, there is a next door. It's Ben's next door, but Left Door is a separate one next to Garden District. So, like, if there are committee members who
Oh.
want to protest it, they have a group of 5, by all means, they can do that. But as the ANC, I refuse. I'm not protesting like a
Can
place
I
like that or
go back to
something.
Matt's question there? I'm not sure he quite addressed it squarely. I think he's wondering about when there's like the strobe lights become an issue with one establishment. Do we have a mechanism for, working that into our standard settlement agreement going forward if it's not already in there?
It
Is that
should. It should be in there. Like, at least I know I've encountered it in like other things, but it's not like standard. Like, maybe it's like a drag and drop type of thing of like where there's other ones where if there's new commissioners that come on board, they don't forget that. But I'm
right?
pretty sure it's in space. I'm also fairly certain it's in highlight because Eileen mentioned it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Stephen,
mean
where are we with
more.
the standard essay template review? Is that still with Carrie?
So I believe Carrie, when we met with Carrie, she mentioned that she updated it the last time with, I think, with Commissioner Harris or with Ashley Fields.
I
Either
think
way,
she
it's
might have done it with Eric Bana, maybe.
it's
Or maybe
pretty.
not.
Can we flag that then just to check with her really quickly at the beginning of tomorrow's call and see? I mean,
That would be good. I mean, I think it's pretty robust. Like, I think, but again, yeah, if there are strobe lights, like, I don't imagine like every place has strobe light. I haven't read a specific strobe light clause, but
right. But again, something like
certain
the
things like
outdoor
don't
speakers
have
maybe the better
music.
example,
Yeah,
right?
that's a big one. That's a big one that comes
Right.
up.
So like
That's
does the standard essay template have no outdoor speakers or
Yes, I believe so. Yeah,
whatever it is?
noise amplification. There'll be no noise. Yeah,
Right.
that's in there. Um, and Francois has also kind of like been pushing or kind of working or trying to have things about like showing documentation that they are
Hmm.
doing rat abatement. Um, kind
Right.
of like wanting to add that there too.
Yeah, that goes to Director Musali's point when he came to see us, right? About making sure it's enforceable, not doing reasonable efforts or whatever, but at least in writing, asking them to provide a receipt every quarter that, you had a rat abatement or something like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's very much in mind, right? For you and for Carrie.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, just reading through it and seeing what is there and what isn't there is going to be like our process this summer. And that's going to really help us figure out, okay, hey, oh, like, there are strobe lights. We don't have anything about strobe lights, or there is strobe lights, then enforcement, or there isn't anything about strobe lights, then we need to add that in there. And then like we can just kind of just be a little bit more like organized and like what we have and don't have and stuff like that.
Okay. Do we still have Aaron? We do have Aaron. Aaron, I don't know if you're able to look at your screen. I know you're on a phone.
Yeah.
Just wondering if any of these establishments raise any red flags for you of your
Well,
upcoming.
there's the Maydan situation.
Sure. And that's continued since.
It actually, I mean, it hasn't. I mean, or put differently, I haven't actually heard anything. And to some extent, I'm actually like nervous about poking the bear. Like, I feel like if I go to that group of neighbors and say any issues, they will say yes.
Sure.
But I have not actually heard from them. And then otherwise, I don't think there's. I mean, I'll send out notes to people, but I don't think nothing's come up to me proactively. So I'll send out notes to people.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. I think the only one we have left is 5. Alan, I don't know if you had to step away.
No, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got Flare, you've got V Street, and then of course we've got Thirst, which we're engaged on separately.
Yeah.
Flare and V Street, anything to flag?
No. Actually, Flair has been great, at least today. The So is V Lounge. They're just looking for more business. It's really just thirst. And I don't want to misconstrue my emails to you and Commissioner Hannaran, but you know that last June of 24, we had written a letter that both chair at the time, now vice chair, Harris and I signed off on to basically tell them that it's not acceptable what they're doing and we need to stop it. And you and I met with them 4 or 5 months later after your party in December, and they're still doing everything they've been doing since day one. Since they opened in October, or no, I'm sorry, December of 23. So since December of 23 till present, I continue to get calls, and I'm fine with it. I deal with it. But the fact that I voted, or we voted as a commission last June, and me pushing this letter through, I believe it was 8-0 with you, abstaining. I still, out of respect to you as the secretary at the time, held off on sending the letter because I try to respect all commissioners and their beliefs, even if it's a small amount of commissioners. To me, we're all equal. So we tried handling our way. We sat and talked to them. I think you were there for 2 hours. I know I was there for another hour after that, and they're still doing it. And we talked about it again in June. We said, "Oh no, it's Gay Pride Month. Let's not give them." We have to fight this. We have to make sure that we put
Yeah, I
some.
mean the in effect we're doing with the I mean the letter was sort of saying, will you enter into a voluntary settlement agreement? So, that's kind of off the table because now we can, we have their actual renewal coming up. So I
Right.
wonder, is it seems like the logical first step is just to reach out and say, can we meet again? It's been some months, and I think Stephen has designated Rachel from the committee to sort of be their reviewer internally. So happy to invite her and we do another visit and at least, say that this process is going to open and we'd like to do it soon, and thoughtfully and not wait until, it's the renewal date's coming up or whatever and see where we go with that. But I mean, do you have a clear sense of what the community's asks? I mean, like I'm going back again to Director Musali's advice. I want to use that, to ground this conversation. Like, what are the specific things that you would write in? Is it, is it that the summer garden hours need to be restricted? Is it that what exactly are the specific asks aside from like stop making noise, that are enforceable?
Well, I think that, I mean, if we talk about their glass roof, roof deck
Yeah.
being open to a certain time, whether it's weekdays or weekends, they have been having it open a lot recently, or at least that's what people are complaining to me about. I don't hear the noise at all, but this is just what I'm hearing. And I've told you, I think that had a neighbor behind that business move out, which is
Yeah.
just nuts to me that people have to move out of their house because certain bar won't lower their damn music. Yeah, we could keep meeting with them, sure, Chair, no problem. We'll meet
Right.
with them again. This will be, I think, the fourth or sixth time now we'll be meeting with them, and they've been on our calls, and it's just this is like an ongoing saga drama that it's like
Yeah. So I'm going back to something also that Director Musali suggested to me privately, which was that, get in touch with them early and consider whether it's appropriate to ask them to hire a sound engineer to do an analysis of, what remediation could there possibly be. And, I don't know a ton about what we would expect that to turn out. I mean, we have Gene, I don't know if putting you on the spot again, I don't know if you've ever dealt with sound engineers. I suspect so. In fact, I think we've talked about it before in terms of uh,
I
sound
mean,
mitigation for the
Miguel and Alan, or sorry, Chair and Commissioner, Larry Handerhan, my predecessor, worked very closely with Flash Lounge, which was previously in 1B01 before it was redistricted into 1B02. And he followed a very thorough process of bringing a sound engineer over at different times. We worked very closely with the particular establishment. We measured the sound. We talked about abatement strategies. We have a settlement agreement in place with them from a couple of years ago that is working really, really well. And Flash is actually a very loud, very busy, also lots of fun establishment. And they have actually become a very good neighbor. If helpful, Commissioner Kenzik, I'm very happy to reach out to Larry, former Commissioner Handerhan, and ask if he would be willing to just get on a call quick and just go through the process that they went through. and then see if that is a template or an approach that might work for you and for the thirst evaluation.
Isn't it true, Alan, maybe you remember this, that didn't we already put the Thirst owners in touch with, wasn't it Option or somebody at Flash, or was it a different establishment to talk about what they had learned about sound mitigation and give them some best practices?
We did, and we also mentioned there's 2 doors down from them, another club that had issues that I worked with and had their sound mitigated, and people don't complain about that other club. That's who Thirst kept referencing, saying, "Well, how come no one says anything about the door doors down?" And I'm like, "Well, because they did sound mitigation." So yeah, no, we told them. I don't know if they don't have the money. That's how they kept making it sound to me, that they don't have the funds to be able to do that. And they just keep referencing that their new sound system is $15,000 and the decibels are lower. But I mean, there's no proof of that. They did get a new sound system, but it's been the same sound system since you and I met with them in December. And since I and Chair Harris at the time signed off on the letter, it's still the same sound system. So I don't know what they keep saying that that's what they've done. But in terms of any sound mitigation, no, they haven't. We did give them some offerings. I've told both of them several times, about how noise penetrates through a glass ceiling very easily. And especially if it's open, it's even easier. They know. I just think they're being brazen at this point.
And Matt, I'm sorry, you did say that Flash did engage a sound engineer, to your knowledge.
Yes, I could speak for Max. I know near the end of it, I asked Commissioner Handren if I can go through the process. So I remember I didn't do the legwork with him, but I was able to go to the actual hearing with him. That was my first time going to one of these hearings, so it was actually pretty
Yeah.
cool. I mean, I could reach out to him, but I think Matt might be better and a little quicker coming from you.
Sounds good. And then I don't know who actually engaged the sound engineer, Chair and Commissioner. It may have been Flash, and it actually may have been the community. So again, I'll send the note to Larry right after this, copy you both, and get that conversation started.
I think
Sure.
Rachel Scheckman from our committee was like really active in that endeavor
She
too.
was.
So if can
Thanks.
you maybe copy her, include her in, and
Please.
because I think I have her listed for, just worked out alphabetically that she would help out with thrust.
That sounds but that sounds great.
Thirst. I keep. Oh my god. Keep
Now
going
that's
with that.
but now, Stephen, that's why it's spelled that way.
You walked right into the trap.
Uh,
Yeah, please go ahead and copy Rachel. Let's bring her in right away. I don't know how much she knows of the back history, but
She
we'll
knows the
fill her
whole
in.
thing.
For Thirst?
No. She knows the whole thing
For Flash.
Flash, and she
Right,
can get
right.
scrubbed into Thirst.
Cool. Okay, I think we can move on, Stephen, unless you have anything else on the taverns.
please, no, I'm happy to
Cool.
be counted. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm really happy we did this advanced review just to air some of this stuff out before it becomes a pile up in committee or in commission. Next on the agenda is just the usual stuff for the commission agenda for next week. I kind of want to buzz through it pretty quickly. We have a guest speaker who is Lieutenant Jones, Captain Jones. My brain is
Lieutenant Jones.
working. Lieutenant Jones. Yes, thank you. From MPD. We'll be talking mostly about U Street public safety matters, mostly Q&A. In fact, I think completely Q&A. So have your questions ready, please. We can talk about the juvenile curfew. We can talk about trends generally. Hopefully that'll be useful. And the anticipated agency guests, Matt, please remind me, we have somebody coming in agency slot.
We've invited DDOT to come in and talk about
Right.
the robot delivery system. I have not received a response yet, and I'm going to ping them again tomorrow morning.
Okay.
But that's the group we've invited.
And as Commissioner Holden knows, we do have Director Kirschbaum lined up for the September meeting. We may have her in person, depends on what we decide.
Great.
Okay, I think there's nothing from the from the executive committee, unless anybody has anything I'm unaware of. Okay, anything from committees, please get your minutes in. Several of you have, very happy. Please send Matt what you would like to be printed on the agenda for next week. Several of you have. Update on the building collapse on V Street. Christian, I'm not sure I told you that I put
Yes.
this on the agenda, but can you just do a little bit, it's the 1 minute or 2 minute version of your
Yeah.
last meeting and how that went?
Yes, you did tell me about this, so I was prepared. So some of you know at the last meeting we had Alex Cross, the chief of staff, and also Nicole Rogers, the buildings chief or chief of buildings. I can never remember which order that title is. They came to our commission meeting or our committee meeting and gave updates to the committee about the V Street collapse, and it did include some new information. I'm working on trying to get those minutes clean but more detailed because I think people will be paying attention to this, and so I haven't sent them to you, Matt, but I'm trying to finish them
Yeah.
today.
Great, thanks.
Just making sure that I'm representing things that people said in the way they said them. But essentially, it sounds like they made some meaningful progress. Specifically, I think the thing that was new that we learned is that they'd hired a special inspector to do special inspections in May, I think. So I'm not sure why they didn't tell us this earlier, or why it wasn't in the report. But that individual has been doing inspections throughout the district, specifically on locations like this that have underpinning and excavation and things like that. I think they were receptive to some of the concerns that community members raised and that the committee raised, and which I've heard also from some of you about the content of the report and what we felt was missing from it. And they agreed that they would develop a narrative base that sort of includes both the presentation that Nicole gave. It's like it would be a document that includes all the things that she said, plus answers to the questions that they provided during the meeting, and also the answers to the questions that they received during and then after the meeting, but which were not able to be answered. I suggested to them that it would be very, very wise if they attended a future commission meeting, and suggested the August one, which I think at this point is probably not likely to happen, which is, I think, okay, because they're still working on this narrative. We haven't received that yet. But I'm going to follow up with them after the August meeting, or whenever it is they send me the narrative, to make sure that they are coming to the September commission meeting. I think it's really important that they provide the same update to all of you that they provided to the ZPD, and that they also address some of the additional questions they received at ZPD. Specifically, there are some community members, including and myself included, who felt that they should update the report, the draft report, to reflect some of the things that they've worked on since then. There are some other items that I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but which are in the minutes. But that's kind of the general summary of that. It was a very productive meeting, I think.
That's good. And real quick question. I mean, the takeaway I had was that we didn't regret anything in the resolution that we passed, right? I mean, there was, or I don't
No,
want to, there was no new information that invalidated anything that we had written in there.
no, I think that there is, what I would describe it as a difference of opinion about between the community members, the committee, and us and DOB about how on a few things. One is how communicative they've been about this. They felt like they had been more communicative. I think I made pretty clear to them that they had been communicative in general, but not about V Street specifically, which is the thing that matters in this instance. And then also, I think they felt I wanted them to sort of share a little bit more information about exactly what advocacy would make sense from the ANC to DOB. Like if they need more inspectors, we need to advocate for changes in the building code. We need to do XYZ thing. They were open to having that conversation and provided some insight into that in the meeting as well. So I do think that it was productive. I don't think we should regret anything that was included in the letter, specifically because it did motivate them to provide us more information, which I'm personally not sure that they would have otherwise. So
I'm
I think it
glad
was
because
productive.
I think the resolution has cost my having any kind of relationship with Alex Cross. Now he does not text me back.
I mean, I think some people As somebody who works in a very similar field and gets yelled at by constituents all the time, you know, I think it's sort of, you just have to.
But also, as someone as my own personal experience, you know, my current job is I'm in charge of the FAFSA, which like had a like very public disastrous like debacle 2 years ago, and
Right.
GAO just sent over their draft report for like me to write a response on, and their draft report is like the FAFSA sure was terrible, and you guys are terrible, and like so my draft response is like, hell yeah, it was terrible, and we're working on it, and like here's what we need to make it better, and like your recommendation should. So anyway, to Miguel's point, like it's too bad that they aren't able to sort of see their way to saying, um, you know what, like there was more we could have done here.
Yeah.
We could use some help. We're doing our best. Here's the things we put in place that are different, and there's still more to do. And here's how you could
Right.
help, or the council could help. And it's too bad that they can't see their way to get there, because I think that would be a more productive place.
I do think, just to your point really quickly, they did have that we did have that conversation at the commission meeting, and while they were not, or sorry, at the committee meeting, and while they were not willing to sort of be specific about their role, if there was one in this collapse, they were willing to sort of be specific about what changes they felt they could implement and that they are implementing that would prevent something similar from happening in the future. So, you know,
Yep.
I think we're 75% in agreement.
Cool.
Yeah,
But
it strikes me that they're maybe just there's my if I had to like take a guess, I guess we're on the public record here, so maybe it's safe to believe. If I had to guess, I would guess that there's some overly conservative with a small c lawyer who's behind them, and they are not doing a good job of exercising strong leadership that within their own department that says we understand, overly conservative lawyer, why you're telling us not to admit any fault here, but we have a public service need to actually be able to go further. And so anyway, whatever, it's sort of neither here nor there, but
right.
it's too bad that they're not able to engage more.
Okay, thank you very much, Christian. Thank you, the committee, and I'm glad three people went right from DOB. There was also another.
Yes,
that was
there was a
great. I was
third
really
individual
happy.
whose name I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but
Yeah,
he
I was really happy. I'm glad.
Yeah, he works in the inspections department and was able to provide some insight into what happens during the inspections and what kind of work the special inspector for special inspections does.
Right.
And
Cool.
that is his actual title. It's not, we're not being punked by
Great.
that title.
Great. Okay. New business items from committees really quickly. ABCR got anything coming up next week?
Francois, Commissioner Barrio and I are working with the settlement agreement for Sost, and they have a really nice place, and they actually seem like a really cool new establishment in the neighborhood on 9th Street, and we want to celebrate them for being new and
Cool.
Good actor.
Can confirm. Okay, great. Community engagement. I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. We had another wonderful committee meeting. We do have 2-ish projects underway, but I'll do my report then. Nothing that I need to flag for you guys in advance. Economic development, anything to flag?
Big focus right now is around, so upcoming at this meeting, we'll have a resolution that I'll be presenting. I will send it around to the commissioners in advance. This is focused on 1617 U Street development and a formal request to DEMPED to engage the community prior to their release of an RFP. The request for engagement is not around zoning, which has already been done, but for redevelopment purposes. I did have a conversation with DEMPED around the timing of a potential release, and I am waiting for them to confirm details, which would either which would probably reduce urgency. I'm just waiting for confirmation before I release anything. Otherwise, we are putting a lot of energy into the bid, which is moving full steam ahead. A lot of work going on in the month of August. If you want to hear the really deep dive presentation on the bid, that's going to be at the Economic Development Committee meeting in August. And I'm hopeful that based on everything that we hear, I will be presenting a resolution for support of a bid formation at our September meeting. And that is to me a really big deal. So I would want to make sure that those details are shared with all of you well in advance, because I am not comfortable just generically supporting a bid. I want to make sure that things that are of priority to our business community, residential community, and our elected commissioners are being represented. So look for that.
Okay, really happy. Go ahead, Matthew.
With the you said you're waiting to release some information on the timing of things and the urgency of the RFP, so that might answer the question. But the RFP resolution as it stands is kind of just asking for the opportunity for real engagement and the RFP process. I think originally we were concerned about getting more substantive comments into the RFP process. Like, we want this in the RFP, and the current resolution doesn't really do that. But like, if the timing is different, then maybe that solves it. Like, because originally the timing was like the RFP was maybe coming out in September.
Yeah. So no, really, really, really good point. And so part of what Commissioner Holden is saying, and very appropriately, is that there really are two objectives, right? The first objective is to say to DemPed, hey, look at us, right? The community that is in 1B needs to be formally engaged. And we felt that that was priority number one. The second priority was to communicate to DemPed a restatement of the priorities that had been stated by the prior commission, essentially reaffirming those and adding a few things that the prior commission had not stated. One of them being that we wanted the district to retain ownership of the land itself and kind of a land lease arrangement as opposed to a sale. And so, Commissioner Holden, the conversation that I had, I feel comfortable stating this on the record. The conversation I had with DemPed leads me to very firmly believe that the timeline for a release of an RFP is moving slower than I may have thought, which means that we will have an opportunity, if we would like, in the next month to frame up that second RFP. But what I've asked them to do is to confirm what they told me verbally so that I can share that new timeline with the community, which I think will reduce urgency considerably.
Okay, so the notion based off of what you just said is that this one we're getting in to stress that we want engagement and to more robust, all that, but then we still have time if they say no to that, right? They could say no. We still have time to have a resolution that is like, well, this is what we want in an RFP.
That is correct.
Okay.
I would not anticipate them saying no.
They might.
No. They very well might. Yeah, and look, the very last thing I'll say is just kind of the discussion around getting more engagement. The conversation was, well, if we engage everybody now and then it takes X amount of time to actually release an RFP, would that engagement be essentially out of date? And so that's why I've pushed, and I've sent 2 notes asking for clarity. And if I don't hear back, I will be escalating this.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's get public safety and transportation. What you got?
We have 2 items on the agenda for next week. One is really simple. There was a notice of intent for a residential on-street disabled parking permit spot. There wasn't really a lot to comment on. The committee just wanted to note support. So we're going to ask the ANC to send just a letter of support on that. I think even on like non-controversial NOIs or very simple NOIs, it's still important to like say the ANC's opinion. So that's one item. And then the other item is a resolution on asking DDOT to explore installing bike-friendly speed humps when they install new speed humps around the district, and also explore ways to potentially, as they replace existing speed humps through repaving, install this bike-friendly design instead, where there's essentially channels that cyclists could go through instead of going over the hump. One of our committee members really championed this idea and wrote and presented on the resolution. So that is one of the other items. But that's it.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I may or may not have been involved in instigating that. But it was Francois' idea first in the commission, which is
That's
great.
true.
Cool, thank you. Christian has jumped. I don't think anything from SMDs, anything from the consultants. before
Sorry,
we jump.
I have one minor SMD item that I will email the
Oh,
commission. Yeah.
sorry.
It is it's a request to remove a public trash can that has become a dumping spot. There is another public trash can that is only about 100 feet away. And so I'll be drafting a letter of support, which is required for a 311 request of this sort. I will be sending it around to the commissioners to review and give feedback on in advance.
You know what? I might be doing the same because I have been utterly stymied in placing two trash cans due to, I think, a misinterpretation on their end of where they can place trash cans. But thank you for reminding me. I'm going to try to get to work on that too.
Good. Well, we will
Uh,
just send you ours so you can have it where you want it.
If only it were that simple. My God, it has to go back. It has to be inventoried. Whatever. Karen, Raisa, anything for us?
Nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
Okie doke. Don't forget newsletter inputs. All important. Let's make our newsletter useful. Business openings, local events. I don't know. Raisa, what else we want people to be sending in? Fun stuff.
Yeah, any local like neighborhood events you know of?
That's
Any
right.
um aid of any kind, like if there's hand giveaways or like back to school stuff that you know about, that we want like families to know about, that'd be great. As school starts, this is kind of a plug that if there are schools around you that are doing fun things, we want to be able to highlight them in our newsletter as well. So I'll be looking at like their websites, but obviously if y'all know stuff, keep me posted. Any like public safety stuff you want me to highlight, that can go in there too. Yeah, whatever comes to mind.
Raisa, remind me, is the 1B account signed up for all the neighborhood listservs?
Yeah,
Westminster and U Street?
I think so. I was just looking the other night to see if we were missing any. So I think if you want to double check, shoot me an email with the name and I'll double check. But yeah, I
I
think
think the only ones with listservs, correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously Westminster has an active one, LaDroit Park has an active one. I don't know if U Street Neighborhood Association actually has an active listserv. Does anybody know? Boop. Okay, we'll look into it. The Meridian Hill Neighborhood Association is defunct, so that's a no. But let's make sure you're like getting the daily digest or weekly digest from all of those, just to flag stuff.
yeah, same if you have your own newsletter, if you could make sure that we know that and are subscribed. I think we're subscribed to a few of them. So yeah.
Cool. Okie doke. I think we're good. Anything burning? Pressing? Okay.
Nope. I just say this every time so that I can write it down on the minutes. 7:35.
It doesn't count as a 90-minute meeting because we started 16 minutes late, so I win.
There you go.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.